Today we're off to see Pipey McGraw. He's building a very interesting E-Type, so we've got some parts for him on the van. Also we'll visit Coltec Classics, which are next door to Pipey. They're building an MG, we've got some parts for them as well. So we'll get to have a look around both cars. It should be interesting.
From a very early age, I've always been into cars. I mean, I was quite lucky. My granddad, he worked at a Ford dealership most of his career, and he used to do a lot of Homers on the side. He'd always have Escort and Sierra Cosworths on the drive doing head gaskets and stuff like that. He was always a massive Ford head, and my old dear worked at the dealership as well. After school, we used to go there sometimes, and when she used to work at weekends, go along with her and get the sales guys to take us out for a spin in some of the new Fords that are out and stuff like that. So, and most of my family are in the motor trade. My uncle's a spray painter and now an estimator, and it's kind of in my blood sort of thing. Most of our family's been into it, and it just felt right to just start going into building stupid cars sort of thing. I think the first car that got in magazines and was all over the internet was the Golf on the Beetle floor pan with the Rotary engine in the back. That was silly. I mean, yeah, before that, my first car was a Mark 1 Golf. I got that when I was just turned 16, I think. A little 1.1 I bought off a lady who only used it to go to the shops to get milk, which was quite funny. And when I left school, I went straight into the motor trade as a paint sprayer and fully restored the car before I even got to 17. So by the time I was 17, I had a fully restored little Mark 1 Golf, 1.1C formerly, little 4-speed. Tons of fun, absolutely fantastic. It was brilliant. When we were quite young, some of the people I used to follow is like the Radical Bugs guys in Belgium, where they build insane Beetles and Carmen Gears and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of the inspiration sort of came. And yeah, I like cars that are just stand out and brash and wild and sort of thing. And yeah, one thing led to another, and the stupid Mark 1 Golf came to about sort of thing. It started off as just an 83 red Mark 1 shell, and I've always been into lowered cars. That was as low as possible. And a friend of mine, Ollie, had a blue Mark 1 that was very, very low, and he had done a lot of work to it to get it low, raise the A-arms and drop plates, and it's quite hard to get a Mark 1 to sit insanely low, but not so much a Beetle, with it being a flat 4 and torsion bar suspension and all that. It's quite easy to get a Beetle to sit literally on the floor, so that's where the idea came from. Let's put a Beetle, a Mark 1 Golf body, on top of a Beetle floor pan. And it's not straightforward. Things didn't line up, the wheelbase wasn't quite right, we had to move arches, but we kept it as it should have been, as in the body was bolted to the Beetle floor pan, so it was totally legal. And put it on its arse. And we drove it all around Europe and went to loads of shows and all that for about a year. And then it got out of hand again when we decided to put the 13V Rotary in the back of it, that was a bit of a challenge, doing gearbox adapters, and we had to run hardcore drive shafts to take the power and stuff like that, and upgrade the brakes and stuff like that. But yeah, it was good fun. Well, the K70, I started off as I wanted a daily. So I bought a W8 Passat, I think they're B5, I think it was a 2004, and fell in love with it straight away. I used it for about 4 or 5 months maybe, just on the road. Cut the exhaust off it and stuff like that to make it sound good. And it was one of the things, I just fell in love with the noise and how it drove and stuff like that. And then I don't fancy modifying, I'm not a big new car guy sort of thing, but I wanted to do something with that car. And then that's why the idea came thinking, right, let's put, it drives so good and so well, let's just put an old body over the top. So you've got all the mod cons of the new car, ABS, full drive, 300 horsepower, and the noise was incredible. And it went from there basically. I just searched on Google and online, looking at cars that might fit and looking at wheelbases and widths and checking out what might fit over the top. And it just so happened to be that the K70 was meant to be. So we've done a lot of measuring, and like that we managed to find a K70, which is surprisingly quite hard to do, from a friend of ours, Bobby. Obviously done some proper measurements before we done it. Took a grind to it, got it all over the top. And obviously that wasn't straightforward as well. The Passat was slightly wider than the K70 being a modern car, so we had to get real high offset steels, and we put Beetle Golf arches onto it, you know, period 70s sort of car. And yeah, that was fantastic. It was probably one of my favourite cars. It was what it was. It wasn't too overcomplicated. It didn't stand out too much. It was just a real simple K70 black, a little bit lowered on steels, nothing too crazy. And but yeah, it drove fantastic with 300 horsepower four-wheel drive. And I think we worked out we lost about 500 kilos from the weight of the Passat to when it was a K70. So it was a lot more lively and brilliant car, fantastic. And you could use it every day, which was awesome. You just get in it, pop to the shops and get milk. But it was a 1971 K70, so it was the best of both worlds. It was, yeah, one of my favourite cars, I think. Paul was involved heavily in all of the builds. Paul at Coltec Classics. I mean, he's got a massive background in restoration cars. To some of the stuff he does, he works on £250,000 Porsches that have the right pressings in them, perfect, pristine restorations, all the way to ridiculous, stupid builds, E-types with V8s and slammed and wide arches and stuff like that. Paul's got such a great background with restorations and hot rods and stuff like that yeah, he's vital in all of my car builds whatsoever. He helps with the designing, the ideas and stuff. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't take my cars anywhere else but to Paul to do all of the restoration work. It's very hard to find people these days that are willing to listen to ridiculously stupid ideas and have the patience to help put it all together. It normally starts with me having a ridiculous idea that's just a complete pipe dream, and then Paul will be like, okay, we can do this, but we need to do it this way and this way and this way, and actually makes something really, really stupid become a reality. So someone like Paul with all his wisdom and fabrication skills is absolutely vital. Without him, all my cars would just be pipe dreams, basically. E-types have always been one of my favourite cars of all time. You know, when you have the poster on the wall when you're a kid, one was an E-type. That was it. That was the pinnacle of cars for me. Just the ridiculous clown shoe shape and the lines. It was just gorgeous. And I remember very young going to like hill climb events and seeing them being raced. I mean, they're not like they're a very popular car. You can see them all the time, sort of thing. But you never see them modified, do you? So I remember as a kid seeing them race with like big arches and stuff like that, and you know, being a young guy in my 20s, and it was a pipe dream that I'd ever actually think to get an E-type. And looking at the prices, I mean, you're looking at 40, 50 grand for a basket case that needs full restoration, sort of thing. So I never thought I'd actually be able to own one. And but I always look, as you do. eBay is my favourite pastime, just looking at cars that are beyond repair for silly money. But yeah, and just out of the blue, a cab came up for sale on eBay. It was literally just the cab, no panels, no nothing. It was just a bare cab, rotten, piece of crap. And I thought, I'm going to have this sort of thing. I won it. Unfortunately, I'm all the way down in Bournemouth, and this was all the way up in the lochs of Scotland. So we rented a U-Drive van, done it in one hit. I think it was 1,300 miles, 23 hours, just all the way up to Scotland, all the way back down to get the cab, and then after that, it was just a hunt to get the rest of the bits. Unfortunately, like I said, I bought the cab thinking, oh yeah, I'll just get some panels and bits, and then didn't realise the price of E-type parts. So it was a case then of, I think I emailed every Jag restorers in the country, rang them, texted them, phoned them, you know, found eBay shops that, you know, sold old Jag parts and messaged them sort of thing. And yeah, surprisingly lucky. It took about a year and a half, but managed to get everything. Windows, tailgates, doors, bonnets. And surprising, I thought going into Jaguar stores and all that, they were just going to shoo you out the door if you're not spending money with them and all that. But surprisingly, it was 50-50. Some old guys were really, really helpful. You know, they were like, you know, young guy, yeah, we'll help you sort of thing. And I managed to, we were literally pulling parts out of bin. I mean, we pulled the bonnet out of a scrap bin, the tailgate out of a scrap bin. And the car's not exactly correct, as in, yeah, it's a Series 2 body with I think it's got a Series 1 bonnet, a Series 3 door, a Series 2 door, and that's a Series 1 tailgate. Just whatever we could find. It was beggars can't be choosers sort of thing. It's whatever I can get. And yeah, we, about a year and a half, managed to put it all together to be able to actually get into an E-Type. And because obviously from when I was young, I wanted it to be more like a race car. Yeah, so we added the arches to it. They're Porsche 930 arches from a 930 wide body sort of thing, which surprisingly fit really, really well on the E-Type. Over the last year, we've been slowly putting it all together and trying to build to what it is now sort of thing, just a crazy, silly race car E-Type. And the last piece of the puzzle that we need is the rear panel, because unfortunately the guy I got the cab off of, he decided that he wanted to French Ferrari lights into the rear of an E-Type. I have no idea why. The mindset behind that sort of thing, but yeah, we've got all the panels. They're not in the best condition. It's a little bit patinaed. It looks like it's been raced sort of thing, which we wanted. But yeah, the last piece of the puzzle is to get the rear panel, which luckily Moss have supplied with us, and it's going to work out absolutely fantastic. The original plan, we had a 3-rotor 20B in it. It was a great idea. It would have been perfect. It would have pushed out lots of horsepower. It was light. It was compact, and it would have worked well, sort of thing. But we just had some complications with the engine. I'm not a rotary specialist myself, and it's very hard to find rotary specialists in this country that know what they're doing. And it was just got to a point where I had to fully 100% rely on other people to make that work. Whereas what's great with Muttley Racing is we can keep it all in-house sort of thing. I mean, yeah, it's great meeting new people and getting as much advice as you can from everywhere, but it just got to the point where it was breaking quite a lot. Parts for it are very expensive. You've got to get most parts from either America or Japan. And just with lack of knowledge of myself, it was just the car or the engine always had to be either in and out the car or somewhere hundreds of miles away up the country for a rotary specialist to look at it and all that. It just became a bit of a headache, basically. So we decided to take the rotary out of it and sell it to a guy who's a massive rotary head and knows them like the back of his hand. So that worked out really well for him and myself. And we've decided to go for a V8 from a 2009 M3. There's a 4-litre V8, the S65. And we've done some custom trumpets for it, which will come out the bonnet to make it look even more stupid. So yeah, we decided to go for the V8. I'm a big BMW fan. I've had a lot of M3s, M5s and stuff like that. And it's with the modern engines, because ECUs and all that are so great these days, it's just a case of putting the engine in, and there's companies out there that just offer an ECU package. You pay a set price, comes with a loom, you plug it in, you turn the key, and it works. I can deal with that. So I just wanted a little bit of a less stress-free and a bit more, we know about V8s and we can fix them, rather than going for a bit more of an obscure engine, which was a fantastic idea and it would have been amazing. But yeah, I'm glad we've gone for the V8 now. It's going to work, turn the key, drive, and make lots of amazing noises. Yeah, I mean, if anybody wanted to follow the build online, we've got a Facebook page, Muttley Racing. It's very easy to find. It's quite an obscure name. Myself, I put everything on my social media platforms. You can follow me on Instagram. It's just Pipey_McGraw. Anyone on Muttley Racing, basically, if you search the hashtags Muttley Racing or Coltec Classics on Instagram, on Twitter and Facebook, you can pretty much find all of our crazy builds and current stuff and what we're up to at the moment. The car is not too far away from being finished. Obviously, it was a running and driving car with the rotary in it, so a lot of the stuff we've just taken off that needs to be put back on. As far as engine-wise goes, we've got all the ECU and loom ready to go. It's just a case of wiring it up. We need to do a little bit of exhaust work. I mean, all the headers are on and they fit. It's just a case of finding somewhere to put a couple of boxes. And we need to make a prop, do a bit of plumbing, and a little bit more metal work for the rear and a little bit on the tunnel sort of thing. So it's not really too far away. I mean, the first show we're planning to get it to is there's a retro rides gathering event at Goodwood in May, towards the end of May. And I think they do, it's like a show and shine sort of thing, and there's a race day on the Saturday as well. So the plan is to get the car to retro rides and race it at Goodwood. That is the plan. But try and take it to events where we can use it, either a hill climb or a drag race or a circuit race sort of thing. So as many events as we can.